What's going on, everyone? So obviously the Lakers are going to be active at this trade deadline. The big names right now that are circulating are DeJounte Murray as well as Zach LaVine. We will see what the Lakers do. Do the Lakers go and try to do an Atlanta Hawks trade? Maybe you get Murray and, like a Bay or whatever, right? Maybe you get a Clint Capella in the deal. That would be awesome. You look at the Bulls, maybe you get like a LaVine, Andre Drummond, maybe you get like a Torrey Craig. Obviously, people want like an Alex Caruso, Drummond, and LaVine deal. However, I don't really know if they're going to trade Caruso, but time will tell, right? These are the two big names. Somebody else may become available between now and the trade deadline. It's always a possibility, still a lot of time. But then there's also the possibility of like little more minor trades, right? I heard the Brooklyn Nets, right? Royce O'Neal, Dorian Finney-Smith, both those guys I think would be seamless fits for the Lakers, kind of upgrade Jared Vanderbilt and Cam Reddish. They're not as good defensively as those two, but they aren't that far off, and they are much better offensively. Two guys that could shoot 40+%. Dorian Finney-Smith is shooting like 43% from three. Two guys that, again, could really impact on both sides of the basketball. Lakers could really use some of those guys. Imagine if we had 3 Taurean Princes on this roster. That would be fantastic. These guys are kind of in that mold, that 3 and D, but they're both better defensively than Taurean Prince. They're both at an age, 30 to where, okay, you could keep these guys for the next 3 to 4 years, kind of fit the timeline in which the Lakers are currently on. It would be a great possible outcome. But another team that comes to mind that maybe the Lakers could look at trying to acquire some pieces from is a tanking, rebuilding team in the Portland Trailblazers. And they have like 2 guys in particular. Now, there's like several guys you can make an argument for, right? But the 2 guys that immediately come to mind would be Jerami Grant and Malcolm Brogdon, right? Those are 2 guys that I think the Lakers could really use as upgrades and help. Obviously, it would be great if they could get like a Simons, or, get a Chris Murray or something. I just don't think that those are realistic, right? Anybody like a Sharp or anything like that. But the veteran guys, I definitely think are guys that you could maybe pry away for a reasonable price, especially guys with like Jerami Grant, given his contract. It is worth noting that the Lakers wanted and were actively trying to trade for Jerami Grant a couple years ago when he was still with Detroit. But Jerami Grant said something along the lines of like he's not a third option or whatever, and the Lakers stopped. So I don't know if maybe that's changed. Obviously, again, he's on a Portland team, which is not very good. Right? And if he could go from that to a team like the Lakers, I think he would be a seamless fit. And these are 2 guys that I think would really make an impact for the Lakers. But let's dive into these guys individually, right? So start off, let's go with Malcolm Brogdon, right? He's a guy that I think is very interesting. You look at a guy like Malcolm Brogdon, he would be a quality upgrade from D'Angelo Russell. He's making $22.5 million this year, and then he makes $22.5 million next year. The biggest concern with him is just the injury history, right? This is a guy that has quite a resume of just getting hurt, and that could be a real concern. But he is a guy that could give you some level of playmaking, a guy that is much better defensively, a guy that can just do multiple things on the basketball court, I think would be an excellent fit. So this season, he's averaging 16.5 points, 6 assists, and 4 rebounds. He's averaging just under a steal and like half a block per game. He's also only turning the ball over 1.4 turnovers per game, which is good. 6 to basically 1.5. So he has basically a 2.5 turnover ratio from the field, shooting-wise, right? How good can you shoot the basketball? He is shooting 42% from three-point range on 5.5 attempts. That is really good, right? And this is a guy that could come off the bench. This is a guy that could start, right? Especially if you have LeBron. Although you can make an argument to start him, especially alongside LeBron, even if LeBron's kind of playing in that point guard role, gives you another ball handler, gives you a point of attack defensive guard, and then when he is playing off the ball, a guy that could shoot in the mid-40s on catch-and-shoot threes, that would be hugely beneficial. But again, this is a guy that last year he played 67 games, which is solid. That would be nice if he could do that. But you look at the last several years, and it's like 36 games, 56 games, 54 games, 64 games, 48 games. Right? Like, that's not great, right? If he's playing like 65 to 70 games a season, I think you can get away with that, especially as long as he's healthy come playoff time. But it's definitely a concern. Could you work it out to, okay, well, let's go and get Brogdon and then go get some other pieces? Yeah, sure, right? He's making $22.5 million. That is something that is very possible. Now, technically, you could even get to Brogdon and Jerami Grant, although I don't think that is super realistic. I just don't, because you have, again, Brogdon making $22.5 million, and then you have Jerami Grant, who he is making $27.5 million. So you're talking basically, $50 million in salary that you'd have to trade out to get these two guys, right? And it's already an issue with a guy like Zach LaVine, right? That's $10 million more. Although Jerami Grant, I think Jerami Grant would make a world of sense, right? Again, making $27 million this year, $27.5 million. Then he goes to 29, then he goes to 32, then 34. Then he has a player option, 2027, 2028, in which he'd make $36 million. So again, a guy that would kind of fit the timeline. He just got a new contract. You could bring him in, and immediately you got an upgrade at the 3, right? So you could, and you wouldn't have to break the bank to go and acquire him, right? So question is, would he be willing to come in and play that role? Would he be willing to come in and play that third option role? He's on the right side of 30. He's 29 years old, right? So he's got good size, good length, great defender, right? This is a guy that can do a little bit of everything on the basketball court. He can rebound. He can make some plays on occasion, right? So you look at his stat lines this season, 22.5 points per game, 4 rebounds, 2.6 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, right? Guy that gets it done, as I mentioned, on the defensive side. He's shooting 6 free throws a game at 81%. That's good. And he's actually been 81.3% exactly 2 straight years with Portland. Again, like I mentioned, good. Then you look at just his EFG is 53.3%. He's shooting 47.9%, so basically 48% from 2-point range. And then he is shooting on 6 attempts per game, 5.9 to be exact, 42% from 3-point range. So another guy that can knock down shots, defend the best player on the other team, a major upgrade to a Jared Vanderbilt or a Cam Reddish, right? You could even slot one of those guys along if you wanted to, right? Like you could go, if LeBron's going to play the point, right? You could go like Taurean Prince, Cam Reddish, then go with the Jerami Grant, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis. I don't hate the idea of Jerami Grant. I don't think he's worth the 30 million he's going to get a year. Right? I think he's around like a 25 million a year guy. But again, like beggars can't really be choosers. It just comes down to like, what is the price? How much is it going to cost to get a guy like a Jerami Grant? Right? Malcolm Brogdon, personally, I think the Lakers should stay away from. I think the Lakers could avoid. I mean, people have concerns about Zach LaVine's injury history. And the guy's played like 77 games last year, played like just shy of 70 games the year before, hasn't played less than like 60 games in like the last like 6 years or whatever, 5 years. All right, so if you want Malcolm Brogdon, but you don't want Zach LaVine because of injury history, well, then you probably don't want Malcolm Brogdon, right? But Jerami Grant, now you're cooking, right? Now you're talking about a guy that, he could play multiple roles. I think he'd be a solid upgrade, give you some real size out on the perimeter, be able to defend, some of these other guys. You could play him at the 3, you could play him at the 4 in spots. Just a quality, like I wouldn't hate if they went and got him. Now, there are questions, again, about the games played with him. So last season he played 63, then he played 47, then he played 52, and then 71. So he hasn't played 70 games or more since the 2019-2020 season with Denver, right? So his basically 2 years in Detroit, he was playing 54 and 47 games. Last year with Portland, he played 63 games. So, again, another question about injuries and injury history. Although, again, he's a guy that you could make a trade for and then still go do other things. All right, so maybe you trade like a Rui or something, Rui and D'Lo, and go get him. Maybe you work it out with like a 3-team deal, right? Maybe you go get like a Dorian Finney-Smith also. Right? Can you work out a 3-team deal? Go get Finney-Smith and like a Jerami Grant, right? Possibility, you never know. But I like the idea of Jerami Grant. I'm not like super high on it. Like I don't think like that's like the best option, but he's very likely going to be gettable. And if he's willing to kind of buy in and accept that third man role, I think he's a guy that could come in and give you, at least 18 a game, maybe 20 a game, right? He's shooting well, play off the ball, defend the best player on the other team, give you some real 3-and-D style player. I think that could work. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you like the idea of Jerami Grant? Do you like the idea of Malcolm Brogdon? Would you want to go get both of them? Would you, again, I mean, technically you could get there. I don't think they would because, like I said, it's a lot of salary, but you never know. But anyway, again, how do you feel? Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot. Lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate you all. See you in the next one. Thank you.